Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Final Destination 2. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. I am drinking the Republic of Tea. I felt like getting in the holiday mood. I am drinking the Comfort and Joy tea. It's got black tea, cinnamon, cloves, licorice root, and apple bits.
That does sound very festive.
It is very festive.
And I am drinking one of my favorites, Bigelow's Mint Medley herbal tea. And it's got peppermint leaves, spearmint leaves, rose hips, lemon peel, and hibiscus. It is caffeine free, but I've had enough caffeine for now. And yes, we are doing the second Final Destination instead of starting with the first one.
Yeah, I have a fear of planes, and I'm going to be going on one soon, and we not think it'd be a good idea to...
We didn't want to make it worse.
Yeah, so, yep.
So we'll circle back to the first one.
Yeah, another time, but not this time. But thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love, and for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So, Final Destination 2, there are so many of them, but this is the one about the trucks and the log and...
This is the one that scarred our generation.
Yes. Which, by the way, I forgot to tell you this, but I'll just... Since it's relevant to the episode, I had a Final Destination moment Thursday because someone had stacks of paper in like the paper boxes on their truck, and it all came out, and I was right behind them. I had to
They didn't secure them?
They did, but the thing that secured it came up.
Oh,
yeah.
They didn't secure it well enough.
Yeah, and so I had to swerve, and I'm really glad that I was able to get over really quickly, but it might not have been so great. So, and the idiot didn't even notice that all the papers were coming out from their back. I'm like, how do you not notice?
It's actually rather easy not to notice when it's like paper and stuff like that.
Oh man, I was so mad at them. I was so mad. But yeah, so that was fun.
Great.
Anyways, so that's what the movie's about.
But yes. Yeah, it's they cheat death basically because someone has a vision, and then death is like, "Excuse you, I have a list for a reason," and then starts killing them off one by one. Like, F you, now I have to clean up this mess.
And they do make mention that the whole thing, that the events that happened in the first movie impacted this movie.
Mm-hmm. Directly impact it.
Yep.
Which is kind of nice and is a nice callback and ties it in very well.
Yeah. So for entertainment, this is the toughie. Because I will say, I have never been a fan of the Final Destination movies because they really... They just hit that part of me where it's more scary than enjoyable. And so, like, it's because of Final Destination 3, I won't ride roller coasters anymore. Like, there are so many...
Seriously?
Yes! And...
You're so panicky.
I am just a ball of anxiety 24/7.
You sweet little chicken.
But, like...
Oh, my God.
But I will say that watching it older, I was able to appreciate it a lot more. Because to me, I think before, it was almost like a curse to where it's like, they should have died. It's almost like a curse, the fact that they live. But it's like, no matter if they're dying in that situation or they die later, they die in absolutely terrible ways. And it was the way that they died that, like, freaked me out. It's not the fact that they died. It's just like being impaled in the head and, like, really, and being, like, choked to death, like, in the shower. Like, really freaky, deaky stuff. And it's like, that's what like scared me the most. And keep in mind, this also happened at a time in my life, or these movies came out at a time in my life where, I mean, I still have a fear of death or of dying or whatever, but I've at least been more matured about it. But at the time, it was when I was a teenager or like early 20s, whenever I was watching those movies, and they really freaked me out because I was really terrified of death at that time. And so it kind of was like the perfect storm. But
You've always had high anxiety too.
yes. But, you know, whenever I watched it this time, I watched it with the thought of, this is kind of like a slasher.
Yeah.
And death is the killer.
Yes.
And when you look at it that way, it definitely gives a very different appeal to the movie. And so I do like the fact that they changed the formula a little bit on horror movies, where they actually make death the bad guy or the villain. And that is a really interesting concept, because death is literally something that none of us can avoid. And so
Not
it's
forever.
Yeah. And so it's literally the perfect villain for a horror movie. Because
you're screwed no matter what.
Yeah, no matter if you avoid death then or late or you know,
Later on down the road.
yeah, you're going to die. But it's just like how, when.
We all just hope that it's like peacefully in our sleep.
Yes. But it's like, unfortunately, like statistically speaking, it's like we
Yeah.
can't all die in our sleep.
Nope.
So I really like the fact that it does, you know, me watching that movie was probably like not great for my psychology at the time, but like it is a perfect horror movie for people like me that are scared, because it plays on the fact that you don't know how you're going to die. You don't know when you're going to die. And so as it goes through the movie, you see all of these different ways that you're like, okay, then now that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I like that also.
Death is everywhere.
Yes. I like the fact that it also plays along the fact, it like teases you.
Yeah.
It's like, are they going to die this way? Oh, no, they're going to die this completely other way.
Yeah, because they set it up to where there's like 3 different ways that these people can die. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them ends up being like the stupidest way.
Yeah, and like I will say, there were some deaths in this movie that I laughed out loud.
I was
on.
dying
Like when the kid
during
gets
some of them.
crushed.
Oh my God,
with
yes.
the glass, and you just
That
see-
reminded me of cartoons so
Yes,
much.
it did.
So much. I'm like, it's a window instead of a piano. It's just
Yeah. But I don't know if you noticed this, but well, I know you probably noticed the crashing trucks like right before the accident. That was like obviously like a call to what was about to happen, but also so much red.
yes.
Like that I thought that was really cool, because
Yes.
it's like, oh, death is looming right around the corner. They have no idea.
Well, it's kind of a signal to her to stop and pay attention to the signs.
Yeah.
Because red means stop.
Yes. And I feel like the deaths in all of the Final Destination movies, but I mean this one, since we're talking about it, are pretty unique.
They are. And widely varied.
Yes, like it really does keep you guessing. Like even if when you know that character is about to die, they keep changing or diverting your expectation of how it's going to happen.
And sometimes you think, oh, they've actually gotten past it. Nope.
Yeah. And it's like, I will say, I think another reason why I have, or used to have a really hard time getting into these movies is how gruesome they are too. Like, I know...
They can be kind of gory.
Yeah. And
Sometimes.
And so the fact that it's like, it's literally saying this person's dying this way and showing how gruesome it is after the fact, that like really like disturbed me. Now, watching it now, it didn't bother me as much, but I will say the ladder in the eye was not okay. Okay, you can't do the eye stuff. Like, no.
We've seen worse. We have seen
I mean,
worse.
I feel like you can't get much worse than like May, like gore.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
But like,
Though, well, it could have gotten worse because she could have done it slowly and scooped it out instead of just going for it. Just saying.
Anyways, I also liked, not just the fact that they divert your expectations on how the person's gonna die, but also they diverted the storyline itself. How like they were so focused on like, oh, it's this pregnant woman. If she gives birth and then all of this is removed, and then they find out, oh, it's not about her,
which you kind of know if you really pay super close attention to when she first has the vision, because they never showed her dying. They showed everybody else's death, but they never showed her.
True. Oh man, I still have to think of a rating for this movie. This is really difficult because this is not a movie that I'm going to go out of my way to watch. Neither is it a movie that I'm going to be super happy about watching if someone suggests watching it. But it is a really good, solid movie. Like, it plays upon the fear of death and how you're going to die and when you're going to die. And it is a very solid horror movie. It's very effective, which is why I don't like it. That's the whole reason. So I'm going to give it a biased 6.75. I can't rate it.
I mean, that's fairly high for a biased rating.
Yeah, because it's like, if this was my jam and I'd be fine with it, then yeah, this would be a lot higher for me. But it's playing upon a fear, a very deep-rooted, primal fear that I can't. I can't.
That's fair. That's fair. So this was one of my favorites of the Final Destination series. So, and it really did scar a generation. Like, anyone who's seen this movie, but especially the generation that grew up with it, knows that if you see a logging truck on the road, you get really clear of that truck as fast as you freaking can.
Yeah.
And anything like sticking out of the back that doesn't look really secured, like poles or boards and stuff
or
like
paper.
That. Yeah. But stuff sticking out the back that could impale you, yeah, you get around that as quickly as possible and get away from it. Because you know the ways it can go wrong.
Yeah. It's like you're just already concocting the scene in your head as you're like staring at it.
And this is it. This is how I die. I have seen this scene before. I know how this ends. Time to go. So this one is a rather solid 7.5 for me. I think the visions were pretty good. The acting was good. If you don't pay super close attention to the original vision, the reveal of the pregnant lady pulling over and seeing all the carnage was really, really good. And they don't make it super obvious in the beginning either. There's just so much going on, it's easy to miss.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't show her. So you just kind of assume that everyone in that line is dead.
Yeah.
They're going to die in horrible ways. And when they say only new life can beat death, your mind automatically goes to birth. Because that's what we're all programmed to think. New life, new baby.
Because technically, if you die and come back, you didn't actually beat death. Because you're going to still die eventually.
Yeah, you're going to die.
Just not right then.
Yeah. So, it's really interesting, and I love the lore behind it, and that they tie in the movie before it as well.
Yeah.
In such intricate ways. So, like, all of them had a moment where they could have died and would have, if not for death going back through the list and picking off the people that should have died during the plane crash first.
Like, honestly, this is one of those sequels where it's just as good, if not better,
Yes.
than the first.
It
movie.
expands on the first one.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And we don't see it too often when it's really well done.
Yeah.
And this movie does that. Now, the effects have aged. I will say that.
Yeah.
The effects have aged. And not all of them have aged well.
For the most part, I felt like the effects were
it's
pretty good, but there were a
mostly
few
decent.
here or there that you're like,
Oh, that's some 2000 CG right there. Yep.
which makes me sad that they didn't do more practical
Yes.
effects.
And a lot of the deaths, while some of them are gory, they're almost comical.
To me, it depended on the death, but yeah, this one there were two deaths in particular that I thought were
Dark
funny.
little soul. And
Yeah, I
a
think-
lot of them.
Did you
had me
laugh when her
laughing.
head popped off in the elevator?
Yes.
See, that one freaking
Little bit.
scared me, but I'm also scared of elevators, so
Well, and we'll get to the realism in a little bit. But that scene in particular, that one, and when the dude was cut by the barbed wire and fell apart.
Yeah, that one I
was
laughed at.
dying of laughter. And when the glass pane fell on the kid,
Yeah, the glass
because
pane
that
and the
was
barbed wire
full on
mine.
cartoon.
Yeah.
I backed it up and watched it again.
God, you are a dark little soul.
Because it really was cartoonish. And the way he folded.
Yeah,
and
you,
all
yeah, you literally see his body crimp around his feet and then he's gone.
Which, I mean, was fairly accurate, but we'll, again, get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, hope we never see that happen to someone in real life because we might be arrested for, like, laughing at or doing something terrible. Well, it's like when you see someone
it would
stub
be
their
really
toe and it's like,
shocking and everything, but at the same time, what a way to go, really?
yeah. Well, it's like, I don't know if you had a problem like this as a kid, but whenever I saw people get hurt as a kid, I could not control it. I had the automatically impulse
I feel
to
like
laugh.
that's a really big thing with most kids.
Yeah, I think it's because it's like, it's shocking, but also like, I know, I read there was a pretty decent explanation,
Yeah.
but it's like, I feel like that'd be me.
It's like a natural response,
Yeah.
and they can't necessarily help it. Now, if the person is really, really hurt, then generally laughter doesn't follow. Generally. Sometimes it's a knee-jerk reaction, and you laugh at first and then realize, oh crap, they're really, really hurt, and it dies off really quickly.
Yeah. Like,
But
humor,
it just depends on the situation.
yeah, like things that trigger our laughter is so interesting, but it seems
weird
to
and
be like
subjective.
shock.
Oh yeah.
It's like
A lot of
shock
it is shock.
based. Yeah. But, or diverted expectations and stuff.
Some of it is also nerves.
Yeah.
It's a nervous reaction for some people. They can't help it. They laugh. So, you know. But it is, a lot of the deaths were comical. And I know she kept saying toward the end, there's this doctor is choking someone, but she was very, very, very clearly doing CPR, chest compressions. So I took off a little bit for that, because why would a doctor be choking anyone?
Yeah, like,
Use common sense.
like-
I know she's terrified and panicking.
yeah, like, what would you
But-
have to do for a doctor to be so bad at you that they're choking you?
Yeah,
Like,
no. Absolutely not. No.
yeah.
They're a doctor. Oh, they're probably trying to resuscitate someone. Chest compressions.
Yeah.
So, that part didn't make a whole lot of sense. But on the whole, the movie is, while a little ridiculous and just a little outside the realm of reality.
It really plays along, like, realistic scenario, worst fears.
Yes. this worst case scenario, freak accidents galore kind of thing.
Yeah, because freak accidents are possible, but very,
It does
very
happen.
rare.
Yes. It just likely would not happen to everyone that had survived the crash one after the other.
Yeah.
So, and again, we'll get to a lot of this in the realism, but it's still a very fun experience, provided you don't take it too seriously.
Or
Like
a scarred for life, or a chicken at heart.
Yes. But I found it fun. But I'm also, we've
Morbid.
established this, a morbid, dark little soul. So take it as you will.
Yeah, because you're also like a bigger fan of slashers than I
Oh,
am,
yeah.
too. So it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think,
I do better with gory movies than you do, typically.
yeah, I think it's because, like, it depends on the scene, but there's times where a lot of the time I'll put myself in that character's shoes, and so if they die absolutely horribly, I'm horrified because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die, you know. But if you're like more surface level and you're like, I want to see what sort of carnage falls upon these characters, then I can see it being a lot more, which is what I tried to do with this watch, which did help.
I got news for you, sweetie.
What?
If you were in a slasher movie, you would probably die fairly quickly.
No. Well, let's not put it to the test.
No.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. You would panic and end up dying. You would probably end up slipping and killing yourself. I could see that happening. I'm sorry. I love you.
I don't want to be the character with the dumb death. That everybody laughs at.
Knee-jerk reaction, chicken run into something.
I guess-
die.
Oh my god, that makes me. Story time with Alyssa.
Oh, God.
There's one time that I thought it was a spider,
band camp?
and I saw it on the wall, and I went to suck it up with the vacuum, but then it like jumped out at me, and so I freaked
not
out and
okay.
went to run away. And I slipped and fell on the tile. It really hurt, especially with my poor arthritic knees. I was in so much pain. But it's like thinking back, I'm like, wow, like that really happened. And it wasn't even a spider. It was like some like beetle looking bug that like from the distance it kind of looked like a spider. And so I freaked out.
I hate those.
Yeah, it's like I was so mad. So
I've got a story for you later that actually was a spider.
Oh
It was not okay.
no. Oh no.
But that story time will wait.
Yeah. This was at least kind of relevant to the
yeah.
episode.
No, mine just nearly gave me a heart attack. This is fine.
So for realism. Oh, realism.
Back to death.
This one's a toughie.
It is. Because, like,
like-
weird freak accident scenarios individually, just looking at them individually.
Yes.
A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them could happen.
Yes. But it's the fact, like, to me, the individual situations of death are potentially, like, possible. But the fact that the whole storyline is, no, death is coming for you. Mm-hmm. Then that kind of, so I don't know.
You can't cheat death forever.
It's like if we're including the plot of the movie, then it's like a 2, maybe a 3. But if we put the plot aside and it's just like these individual scenes are completely random, they're just by themselves, I feel like it's like a 4.
It's like an episode of 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yes. Yeah. Don't watch that show if you don't like death. Because that also gave me nightmares.
Love that show. A lot of them were so funny and so stupid. I kept hearing in my head, dumb ways to die.
Well, it's like one of them where it's like they died from a rusty razor. I was like it's the common play. Like there's some ridiculous ones where I know one guy died by like he's like sifting like gasoline and like stealing gasoline out of cars, and he did something stupid and died. But it's like when it's like someone doing everyday stuff and that just goes slightly wrong and then you're dead. It's like, oh god. Like I know there's this guy with like power tools, or I forgot exactly what happened, but I was like, Death is everywhere. But so I think, since I feel like whenever we do a lot of realism skills, we're not necessarily taking the plot itself, the overarching plot, into account.
We set some allowances aside for certain things.
Yeah.
So for this one, I think we kind of have to set aside that death is kind of its own entity
Yeah, because
and can influence things.
yeah. So I think, I'll sit comfortably at a 3.5.
That'll work. You split the difference there.
Yeah, because it's like there's obviously some situations where, like, that's really ridiculous. Things would have to go absolutely 100% wrong for that to happen, but could still happen. But I will say the beginning scene with the accident, that definitely is extra traumatizing, because all of those deaths
Those
are
seemed fairly accurate.
completely, accurate and realistic looking.
It was horrifying to watch. That scene was definitely actually hard to watch.
Yeah. And see, for me, those scenes the Final Destination series is why I have a hard time watching these movies, is because they'll have a scene that's just realistic enough that's, like, too much. Like, the motorcyclist got me, and then also the guy burning in his car.
That was awful. And also the very end of her vision, where she sees the 18-wheeler coming for her vehicle, and there's absolutely nothing she can do to avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to get out of the vehicle in time, even if she could get out of it.
That particular part of that scene reminded me of the Fort Worth lineup that happened a few years ago from ICE. It was like over 100 cars.
Oh, yeah, I
it was
forgot
like
about that.
absolutely
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
But it's like a similar situation where it's like you're stuck in your vehicle, there's nothing you can do, and you just watch your death coming towards you. Just absolutely awful. But yeah, that's my realism scale. Okay, I will say I do have one part that okay, there were 2 points that I was like, okay, that takes away the realism. Is first, after the vision, whenever she, like, goes to kind of, like, curves the so it's like it shows where she parks, and she's still on, like, the ramp that's going towards, she's not actually in the road, but then a truck hits it and kills her friends. Like, how?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was definitely going to as well.
Yeah, I was like, bullshit, like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yep.
And then also,
Yeah, she blocked it specifically so no one would get hit.
and her
But a
friends got
truck
hit.
barrels through it? Really?
Yeah. And then the guy that died from escaping the fire in his apartment, I know he was laying on glass on his back, but why didn't he just roll the fuck over?
Shock.
It's just is dumb. I feel like they're
Also, movie's got a movie.
yeah, it's a movie's got a movie moment. Also, worst case scenario, but also, like, the guy should have had faster reflexes.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, that's actually what I have for realism.
Here we go. You want me to make you feel better?
Yeah. Please do.
So I give it a 2.
Okay.
Even with the allowance of setting death as an entity with a plan and design aside.
Okay.
Even with that. So, the scene with the traffic accident and all, that was decent and largely plausible. But when she blocks the lane, her truck should not have gotten hit at all. They also didn't bring into account that her transmission was leaking. Like, that was... They tried to make it, like, a bigger thing than it was.
Yeah. I think it's another thing where they're trying to divert your expectation.
Yeah, maybe. After the accident, when they had everybody in the same room, they would not have had everybody in the same room. They would have had them in a waiting area and taken them in separately to get each of their statements, or gotten their statements separately on scene. They wouldn't have put them all in the room and been like, death is after us. That was purely for a movie. Movie's got a movie. They wouldn't have gotten any contact information for the group. It would have been all through the police officer, probably multiple police officers, and he would have had to track them all down and then try to convince them afterwards. So, again, movie's got a movie. They skipped all the BS and went straight for it while doing BS. A lot of the deaths were just not... just no. The kid going splat. I feel like the glass should have shattered more. And also he wouldn't necessarily have been that flattened, but it depends on the kind of glass. Because glass, when it's huge like that, can get absurdly heavy.
Yeah, and if it's for a skyscraper, I'm assuming it's like tempered or like...
Yeah, that one's kind of hit or miss. And it's hard to tell without knowing more of the variables. But it just seemed a little, like, just a half step beyond. He went a little bit too squished or too pancaked. Like a half step beyond reality and into comical. A little bit.
I feel like they probably had a really good time animating that one.
I feel like they did. The ladder in the eye, the effects were a little subpar. When they show him in the mortuary, though, that was good effects. That was really good. It looked legit. But when it happened in the scene, that was one that I was dying laughing. It was. It really was.
Well, it's just so stupid. Just it was one part of the ladder just so in the eye.
Stupid.
Like, what so a way to go.
Dumb. I feel like the mom in the elevator panicked a little too much when her hair got caught.
Yes.
And it was just a bit much. I know she was overstressed and everything and all, but it was a little ridiculous. And elevators and other machinery like that have a lot more safety features than just the bumpers. No. The whole thing is a no. That would not happen. So you can...
rest easy.
Yes, you can rest easy. It's not going to eat you. It's not going to cut your head off.
That part of the safety feature of the elevator broke?
There are at least 2 other safety features. And they could have hit the stop, the emergency stop as well.
They could have.
Yes. They should have. They should have. But no. No. Movie's got to movie. The gun would not have jammed 6 times when the dude tried to shoot himself.
That's pretty cool.
In fact, in other movies, I can't remember if they did it in the first one or not. In other movies, I think there was a couple of suicides in which they did that and it skipped the person behind them. And death had to circle back around to them.
Oh, interesting.
So, no. No. Guns don't just randomly jam like that, and definitely not 6 times. If it is, he's got a problem with that gun. That is a big problem.
He needed the new one.
Mm-hmm. The death where the pole goes into the woman's head. She knows death is after her. She knows the pole is a problem. Why would she not keep her head as far away from that pole as humanly possible?
I know. That was really dumb.
And the firemen, I feel like they would have taken care of the pole first. Because, instead of trying to get the door open. Because if the airbags haven't already gone off, then they could go at any minute. Any moment. And that would cause a serious hazard, as it happened. So I feel like they would have dealt with the pole first, then gotten her out. Get rid of the immediate danger first. Then get the lady out. As safely as they can.
Yeah, that was a little bit dumb of a scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
The barbed wire cutting the dude in sections like that, he would not have stayed together as long as he did. It is physically impossible. They have actually had Mythbuster episodes on that. They have. Dang. With chopping a head off with a absurdly sharp object, like a
because that body part goes along with the momentum of that object, right?
Yes. Yes. So it doesn't matter how sharp or how fast the object is that's doing the cutting or how much force is behind it. The body part will not stay together like that. It is visually pleasing in a movie for that to be the case. And it's really cool in some scenes when that happens. But it is physically impossible.
Physics.
Yes. It's a thing that if they're trying to make a really realistic movie like this, you can't ignore it. The assuming that a doctor is going to choke someone to death. No. The dude's vitals going haywire and machines not working right and no alarms going off.
Right?
No one going in to check on him, nothing. Until Clear goes in there, opens the door, and sets off a spark that goes boom. No. Absolutely not. The fact that what's-her-face, main chick, I forget her name. I know she plays JJ in Criminal Minds. She did a good job in this one. I just am horrible with names. Main chick. The fact that she's able to just take an ambulance and drive it into a lake. No. The fact that the cop was beating on the window with the butt of his gun, which... No, that's not how windows work. Windows are made to withstand blunt forces like that. Yeah, you're gonna either have to shoot the glass or use some kind of point.
Yeah. That's why the windshield breakers have that point at the end.
Because you're concentrating the force on one specific spot, and the windows are meant to shatter. Also, there was already a crack in the windshield. Why was he not beating on the crack of the windshield? Why would you not go for that instead of going for the perfectly intact window? Seriously? Really? Movie's got a freaking movie. Also, the fact that they were able to revive her when Death was trying specifically to kill her. Call him bull.
Yeah, it's like...
They could have just been unable to revive her.
Yeah.
And then cop dude would be screwed. I do find it funny, though, the kid that was saved by the druggy dude ended up being blown up by the barbecue.
Yeah.
Which seems like a really huge flaw in a design of a grill. Just saying. Might be some recalls on that.
Might be some recalls.
Yeah. So... a lot of those just would not happen. Just hope that makes you feel a little better.
No. Can somewhere deep in my anxiety brain, I'm like, it's still possible. A freak accident, but still possible.
I am glad, though, that the dude that had won the lottery and had all the stuff with a horribly messy apartment... when he stuck his hand, which was stupid, by the way, he stuck his hand in the sink with his watch. Why would you not just take off the damn watch or use your other freaking hand? I'm glad they didn't turn on a disposal.
Yeah, that would have been a cheap shot.
Mm-hmm. I know that they have safety features, and it wouldn't actually, cut your hand too much. because of those safety features. But I appreciate it all the same that they didn't do that. Because even with it disconnected, I hate putting my hand down there. Because of movies like this.
I forgot which movie we watched, but it's like
I forget too.
their hand was in the garbage disposal and came out as all like, oh,
Yeah.
bony.
I forget.
fleshy.
Yeah. Which was completely unrealistic, but you know. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I got.
Like, I definitely feel like this is a good one to watch for sure. It's a solid movie. Got twists and turns.
It's not realistic.
Not realistic. Well,
For the most part, it's not realistic.
yeah, like death isn't a serial killer coming for all of us. It's like,
Weird shit does happen.
yes.
And there are freak accidents.
But it's like, out of the billions of people in the world, it's like, statistically speaking, some weird shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anything that can happen will.
Yes.
Murphy's Law.
Yep.
Or theory of chaos, whichever.
Yeah.
There's so many different theories.
But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
And if you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and a PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Republic of Tea available. It does not affect the price of the tea, it just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below. And until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye!